Good morning, afternoon, and evening, my friends. My name is MiAh the King, and today at the bank, an old lady asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her over. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called MiAh 2. Also, full disclosure, never played MiAh 1, okay? Now then, this game was developed by Bestway and published by Fulcrum Publishing, released not in early access and selling for $45. So, what is this game? Well, it's an RTS, real-time strategy game, taking place during World War II, and I love me some World War II games. It states that it takes place on both the Eastern and Western Front. Don't really know what that means. Does that mean Japan or does it mean Russia? Well, either way, let's dive in together and see if this game is worth our time and money, shall we? So, up first, as always, is the positives. And the first thing that I want to bring to your attention, to positively at least, is the graphics. Despite being an RTS, the game looks really good. Here you can see the great attention to detail, the lighting effects, the shadows, and the different color contrasting. Overall, it simply looks beautiful, which is really nice. Now, could it have been a bit better? Sure, but for an RTS, I'm pleasantly surprised with this level of graphical design. No complaints here from me. The next positive thing I'd like to talk about is the ingenuity and the creativity here. There's a lot here that you can do. I mean, you can manage and customize your user interface, you can have multiple strategies for multiple units, there's cover, destructible environments, unique units, and a card-based system for multiplayer that unlocks as you accomplish more within the game, thus giving you a more diverse way to play and challenge yourself or other players. Also, you can play this with friends. It says that you can even play with your friends in the campaign mode, which is also kind of cool and interesting. I've also seen comments that it's not working, but, you know, still the idea of having that there is pretty cool. And that's about it. Now, look, maybe it's because I didn't play the first one, but despite me not playing the first one, as a brand new player, here are the negatives I found with this game, or things that rubbed me the wrong way. Alright? Also, before we get into that, please do me a favor and consider supporting my channel. Like, comment, and subscribe to help me grow up big and strong. Thank you. Okay, so now let's just get into the negatives. This is kind of difficult for me because I can actually kind of see what they were going for here. Not only that, but there's clearly a lot of dedication and time that went into the development of this game. However, I gotta be honest, to you guys and to myself. So, here we go. The first negative is the sound design. Now, don't jump down my throat on this and hear me out. The music sounds perfectly average. It's nothing super awesome, but it's not something terrible either. It's just kind of there to fill the silence, and it does tend to fit whatever it is that you're doing at the time, so it's nothing good or bad, which is why I'm not going to talk about it much more. You know, it's passable. However, when we get into the other stuff, like the voice acting, for instance, it's unrealistic, unimmersive, and unbelievable. I mean, just listen for yourself.
Where the hell are they? They should have appeared long ago. Look! And here's the 26 tank squadron. Or rather, what's left of it. Can you hear that? Shooting. Very close.
It just sounds like they're faking it, and it's not at all immersive or realistic. They don't even sound like they're trying. I mean, do they realize that they're in a war-torn battlefield right now, or is it just another day in the office for them? And then you've got the sound effects. Now, individually, the game sounds great. The guns sound awesome, and the tank sounds are awesome. It all sounds great when you listen to them separately. However, when you're listening to all of it at once, they all blend together and sound the exact same, and they sound so similar that it's simply impossible to differentiate them. But then when you look at a game like Company of Heroes 2, for example, in the midst of a big battle, you can actually hear the differences between tanks, artillery, machine guns, rifles, snipers, mortars, all at the same time, and they all sound distinct, unique, and separate, thus really upping the immersive sound effects that you're listening to while you're in the midst of this battle. But that doesn't exist here, as everything blends together and makes it sound like poo-poo. Next up for the negatives is the gameplay. Now, I've got a lot to say about this, but for the sake of keeping this video short and concise, I'll try to sum up. The main problem I think I have with this game is how it plays like a tactical game without the tactical game rules. And it wants you to play strategically, precisely, purposefully, patiently with infantry. However, the infantry are like tissue paper, blown away with every gust of wind. A stray bullet that could ricochet off of 2 or 3 tanks across the map and then zip in and take out one of your guys, and that happens quite a lot. Despite putting your guys in cover or making them retreat or hide or get inside a building or whatever, it doesn't matter. They just die left and right. They're never around long enough for you to be able to actually do anything legitimate with them. So it's impossible to actually use them to do anything. My very first mission on campaign was an utter failure because of this, and because of the game's lack of distinguishable markers to recognize enemies. Oh, that's right. There's no colors or markers or indications of any kind to let you know enemies are nearby. So you either have to zoom in super close or move an inch at a time until someone starts firing. What I mean with tactical games without tactical rules is simple. It makes you need to micromanage literally everything with the speed of a fast-paced RTS. So to have any kind of chance, you need to grab a squad, babysit them, move them, fortify them, and then watch them. Make sure they're okay, make sure they're all good to go. Then you gotta move on to the next squad and do the same thing. Then you move on to the tank and do the exact same thing, all while the game is progressing and moving like an RTS. So when you are babysitting this squad to make sure they don't die by watching them, having them get into cover, making them crouch, making them fortify, the tank over there is dead because you weren't watching him. Okay, fine, so I'll just move in one squad at a time, just very slowly. So I move that squad, babysit them, move that squad, and babysit them. Now let's go get the tank, and let's move him into position and babysit him, and now those two squads were killed by an airstrike. Great. Awesome. That's pretty much the gameplay. Tanks are a bit better, as they can actually survive longer than a few minutes, but since their range seems infinite, you can literally be hit by an enemy tank from across the map if they can see you at all, and that's just absolutely ridiculous due to the fact that there are so many different factors. I mean, you want to have clear line of sight, you know, fine, I can understand that, but what about the different variations? What about the wind or movement of the enemy tank, or debris, or enemy troops, or smoke, or whatever, so on and so forth? They shouldn't be that accurate from such a large distance. Another thing that really bothered me was the limited troops you get per match. Now, I'm not entirely sure how this works, but it seems to me as if I had limited troops per battle and unable to make more. This meant that once a squad dies or a tank dies or whatever, and they just die. If you run out, you run out. You have no troops. You have nothing anymore. Game over, basically. And yet they restrict you by giving you so few troops for an actual battle. Oh, did I mention that the infantry are each considered individuals? So if you click on one guy, you don't click on the squad, just that one guy. Again, a tactical-based game that doesn't use normal tactical practices. Why? Why let me summon a squad of only 2 men? Yeah, that's a thing that happened. What the hell is that going to do? What are they going to do? They're already weak as hell, so why only 2? They can't do anything. That's not even a squad. So, to sum up, infantry are like infants, awful squad numbers and controls, seemingly unfair tank mechanics, cover doesn't do anything, and limited reinforcement numbers that feel unrealistic. I could obviously keep going more and into more detail, as I said, but I'm just trying to sum up and move on. So, let's do that. The next negative point is the user interface. It's clunky, it's ugly, it's confusing, and they give you way too many options for a game with this level of speed during gameplay. Again, tactical game lacking tactical game rules. If the game is going to be that fast, that epic, and real time, then why give us so many damn options? For a tank, you've got multiple guns to switch as priority. Each gun has multiple bullet types. Realistic, sure, but again, for a fast-paced match, it's a bit too much. Plus, they only fire the special bullet once, not keeping it loaded until you tell them otherwise. So you've got to constantly micromanage and babysit that tank to make sure he keeps firing the anti-tank rounds, because otherwise, he'll just shoot regular rounds and do nothing to it. Every single unit, every single person has a plethora of things they can do in the midst of a fast-paced battle, and you don't have the time to micromanage every single person, every single thing, everywhere on the map, especially when they're dying left and right. So yeah, the UI was just too much, confusing, awkward, and without tooltip bubbles to let you know what you're even looking at. The next negative point is the stability. When I was online, my game kept jumping around, lagging, stuttering, and jittering every which way, so I thought maybe it was just an internet thing, until I went into the single-player campaign, where it continued to do the same thing. So the game isn't stable or smooth, which for a fast-paced RTS like this, it really needed to be. It never crashed or froze, sure, but still, for an RTS, those are some pretty big problems. Next up for the negatives is the online multiplayer. Now for this, you can pick different card types and different country you want to play as, such as Germany and Tank Battalion, or Russia and Infantry Battalion. The troops given to you will represent what you chose before searching for an online match. Now obviously I already spoke about the laggy nature of its stability, but it has other issues. For instance, you can choose to play as whoever you want, Russia, Germany, or the USA, and still be on the same team. So, I mean, if this game is being realistic about the war, then wouldn't everyone just pick to play Germans? I mean, at this point in time in history, they had the best of literally everything. Best machine guns, rifles, grenades, tanks, artillery, air force, literally, they had the best of everything. So why would you want to play as anybody else? It doesn't make any sense to allow Germans to fight alongside Americans in online battles anyway, but here you can do that. So where's the realism there? And as I predicted, the German tanks were ripping up the American and Russian tanks in the online fight left and right. The machine guns were tearing us up, and the only person on our team who had any chance of doing anything worthwhile in the battle was our German player. Go figure. Did I mention the campaign was lackluster and kind of awful? We're talking first mission, you have a few squads of infantry, of course, the weakest unit in the game that dies at every gust of wind, up against enemy tanks, half-tracks, machine gun positions, anti-tank guns, and multiple squads of other infantry. And somehow, you're supposed to sneak up, babysit each squad behind every minute piece of cover, go prone when you need to, kneel when you need to, throw anti-tank grenades, phosphorus grenades, anti-infantry grenades, heal your squad when they get a little bit injured because they die at every gust of wind, reposition when necessary, and do all of this to slowly take out one thing at a time, spending hours on this one match while your guys are getting picked off left and right from randomness. When your infantry die left and right like they're made out of tissue paper, it's really hard to keep them together and actually have them do anything. Okay, so I think it's pretty clear by now that I just don't like this game. As a first-time new player to the series, no, I'm not going to reference the other one. I don't know about it or how it's played, and I shouldn't have to play that game to be able to play this game. Each game, sequel or not, should be able to stand on its own 2 feet. I do apologize to the people who love the series, but I did not enjoy this game. The multiplayer makes no sense and it's glitchy as hell. The campaign was boring and insanely difficult with awful voice acting. The gameplay makes no sense and doesn't flow well or work well, and it's lacking in several departments. The sound design is good until it isn't, and all this for $45. Where's the $45? Like, what's it going towards? The voice acting? I highly doubt it. The intuitive gameplay? Definitely not. The graphics? I mean, maybe, but that's not worth it. As I've said many times, good graphics are just a bonus. Good gameplay is the legit telltale marker of a good game here, and to me personally, this game's gameplay was just awful. It was awkward, it was confusing, it was difficult, it didn't match to what the rest of the game was trying to go for. Like, it had some good ideas, but with the speed of play here and the tactical-like gameplay mechanics, they just don't fit together, and it made for a very frustrating experience. What's my recommendation? Well, if you're looking for a good World War II RTS, then just go play Company of Heroes 2. It is still supported, and it is a way better game in terms of gameplay and even online capabilities with a more coherent design. If you want a good tactical World War II game, then just go play anything else. In my opinion, this game is not worth $45, and it's not worth my time, and it's not worth your time. I even see fans of the last game giving this game negative reviews, so even they aren't liking it, so take that as you will. My recommendation is to pass on this game and go play something else. And it's a damn shame, because like I said, I love some World War II games. Alright everyone? Alright, so that's all the time I got for this video. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around till the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.